Sustainability. A brief film introduces Coventry's commitment to sustainability and environmentalism. It features contributions from Dave Griffiths, Andy Williams, Adam Tranter, and the director of Coventry Moves, Justine Tiemann. Their thoughts are interwoven with footage in and around Coventry. A delicately curved bridge against a blur of green foliage, wildflowers, apple blossom, tall concrete and glass office buildings, and the soaring spire of the cathedral. The dark blue river winds through it all.
Sustainability is much bigger than just domestic recycling, if I can put it that way.
Yeah, not wrecking your own house and looking after it. And it's not only there for us, is it? I know everyone talks about we'll pass it on to the grandkids, but you do want to pass.
Sustainability for me means how can we all have a good life and how can we get about? How can I continue to do the things I want to do? And how can we make better use of the space that we all have around us?
Cofa's tree over time became Coventry. And Cofa's tree, so the legend goes, was planted by a man called Cofa in the early days of the settlement, so that people who were walking in the land nearby could see the tree and say, there's Cofa's tree, and know that the settlement was there. And it just felt a really nice icon of sustainability for the city.
This building and all the parkland, there was the threat of the public being excluded. You know, the building started in, I think, 1381. The fields have been public land as far as most people are concerned for decades and decades, and it's a fantastic space. I think we'll make something really good out of what's here without spoiling its quiet character.
If we're honest, we've built a city that's sprawled. You know, people drive out 3 or 4 miles to go to a retail park, etc. And we've got great shops and great communities on our doorstep. So how can we persuade people to take journeys that are like a mile rather than 5 miles? Cycling has always been an afterthought. There's never been dedicated funding for it. So now there is funding on the table. People have sort of sat up and listened. If you look at Amsterdam in the 1970s, it looks like Coventry is today. It's, you know, they were having their roads built for cars and someone said, stop, are we doing the right thing here?
I think sustainability is about lifestyle and about opportunity, about creating those opportunities for people to live, to work, to have leisure time, to study, and to make it something that's achievable for all as well.
Nature, to me, this sounds a bit corny, but it reminds you that it's a privilege to be alive and to see and be amazed at times what's going on around you. The industrial life and city life can take all that away from you, and that's why I think these spaces are so important, you know. And on sustainability, if I had any message to anyone, it's not automatic. It's got to be worked for, and when necessary, it's got to be fought for.
And when, you know, COVID happened and they had the first lockdown and cycling went up 400%, they started to realise that actually there are all these people that would cycle if we made them the environment to do it in. That's why we need a network of protected bike lanes. That's why we need a network of low traffic streets where, you know, they're people first rather than people in cars kind of cutting through. And we all need all of those things to get more people cycling.
The Gigafactory creates new future opportunities for people to come and enjoy, and is revitalising the industry, shifting Coventry away from a purely car-focused industry in the main to something that's much more broad in advanced manufacturing, where there are more entry points, where more people can take their hobbies and actually do a career inside of them as well. So the Gigafactory almost provides that anchor, if you like, but many industries can come off the back of it and actually contribute to what a green transport future looks like. I think Coventry as a city, one of the key things that feels to me is really important is how it engages with its young people. How do we actually inspire some of our young people to want to not leave Coventry, but to actually make Coventry their home as they grow and they develop?
If you feel you come from somewhere that matters, you carry a bit of confidence through the rest of life that will help educational achievement that you perhaps wouldn't get just looking at the area as it was, as the streets and so on. So we just felt there was so much being missed and so much we could add to young people's lives.
I'm really concerned about what world we'll leave for my children, their children. And since I've got more involved in kind of transport, you start to see how the system's sort of set up without sustainability in mind. So, you know, all the projections are that if we don't do anything, car ownership, car mileage will continue to increase. we know that we can't meet our climate objectives. If that happens, it's just a fact. The first lockdown last year, you know, people could hear birds singing, you know, in their street, and they never heard that before, and it felt wondrous. You know, it felt brilliant.
You know, you walk down in the morning and the song, and you know, just the peacefulness is marvellous. So I think everyone around here is really proud of what our neighbourhood did, because this was under threat.
We need to move on, but we also need to realise the things that, the very small silver linings that there were during this awful pandemic, and realise, you know, which of those made us feel a little bit better about ourselves. And I think being outdoors, walking more, cycling more, all these things are things that now make me feel much happier and less stressed, and I'm all the better for it, I think.
Everyone's got their own objectives, and trying to join those up can be challenging, but when we get them, I think, you know, the world is our oyster, really.
If you don't fight, you lose, that's for sure. You might fight and lose, but you might fight and win. And you know, and the good thing is, in fighting for it, you know, people who weren't so sure about what could be done here before have become convinced, got involved as well, and it creates momentum, and you can get more done.
Blue and white geometric shapes assemble. The logo of Coventry Moves 2021. We are Coventry City of Culture 2021.